Today we have a very special guest with us in our pursuit of bringing thought leadership to our community. We have the Chief Strategy Officer from Extractable, Alex Jimenez. I'm trying to say that correctly. Alex, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We really strive to bring thought leaders to our attendees so that they can look at things through the eyes of people that have had experience in the world of fintech. So, as we're starting off our conversation today, the foundation for this conversation, what is the value proposition that Extractable offers to your clients?
First, we're a digital consultancy, and we focus specifically on financial services. So we help our clients with defining the digital strategy and the execution of that strategy, which means design, research, customer research, and development of customer experiences. So actually, we build them out on top of platforms that allow that. Bottom line, we really are great believers of design thinking, and we believe that any transformation needs to start with the customer at the center of it all. And it's amazing for all the organizations in financial services that say that they're customer-centered, how few of them do we actually find that really are talking to their customers? Most of them don't, and it's really just a huge surprise to us.
Yep, I'm 100% there with you. I think that we're in the days of Amazon, and if we're competing against a conversion factor, we've got about this much time to maintain their attention before
Absolutely.
They're gone.
Yeah.
When you involve and when you partner with an organization, when they hire your consulting firms, I would argue that probably one of your first questions is to go have your customer experience and see how that plays from your perspective today.
Yeah. There's been a few interesting situations. So where I opened an account online, and this organization, I went to an organization, their actual experience on the desktop or on the screen was really great. I was able to go from start of the application to being approved, or at least where it looked to be approved, in about 15 minutes. But it took another 4 weeks before I got my debit card, before I got my checks. By then, if I had been really looking for a new account, I probably would have forgotten about it. 4 weeks later, when I can actually start using the account, it wasn't necessarily the technology piece. It was the whole experience. And people don't step back and say, we're going to put this great digital experience. What's around it? You have to build that too.
Yep, exactly. And we could argue until the end of the day that it takes so much energy to get a client, and it takes even less to keep that client, right?
Right. Absolutely. It costs less for sure.
Yep. So what is the day in the life of a chief strategy officer? What does it look like? What do you do?
It all depends. On a day-to-day, I'm leading workshops with clients, working on research, talking to customers, doing customer interviews. I spend a lot of time talking to fintech firms, other bankers, vendors, to understand where the industry is going, what capabilities are available out there, so I can bring that to bear when I talk to my clients. But ultimately, I'm working on the strategy for our clients. I'm working with them to define where they want to go and how they're going to get there. Going back all the way to thinking about what's our vision and how we go forward on executing that.
I greatly appreciate that. When you say digital transformation, I mean, that's just like the ocean, right? It's a huge topic. From your experience, where does a financial institution start? And why would they start there?
Yeah. Well, digital transformation, people get stuck on the word digital, which means technology. It's actually also akin to fintech. People get stuck on the tech part of fintech. It's not about the technology. Technology enables it. Technology has raised the stakes, but it's not about technology. It's about changing your business model. And to change your business model, it really means trying to figure out how do you do everything differently. So you really have to start figuring out what is it that your organization does and how you're different from others. And I alluded to this, that whenever we talk to our clients at the beginning, we ask them, how are you different from the other banks or credit unions or insurance companies and so on? And 99.9, but probably all of them say customer service. It's our customer service. We are better than anyone in customer service. But gee, if everyone is better than everyone at customer service, then nobody's actually doing it right, because there's a lot of people complaining about customer service within financial services. So they really need to figure out, well, what is it that you really actually do and how are you actually viewed? And so people say, well, my NPS is blah, 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 blah. Well, that's the result of a survey. Have you actually sat down with real customers and understood their experiences and how they think about you, and not how satisfied they're with you, but how they actually interact with you and why they're interacting with you, and if they're even interacting with you? A large number of banking customers are very disengaged. Everything's on autopilot, so they don't necessarily need to be doing banking too often. Is that so? As long as everything works, they're happy with you, and they're going to fill out the surveys and tell you that they're happy with you. But it's all about transforming your model.
Yeah, I like that. It makes me think that, if I'm selling technology, which is what we do at Turnkey Lender, loan origination, loan management technology, that I know inherently why I built the technology and the value proposition that it offers. As the sales guy, I'm trained laser focused to touch on those points. But in reality, it's how my customer perceives that value proposition, what I'm doing for them, how I'm making them better from B to nail it from B to C, right? Because all of my clients, I'm doing B2B business, but it's how we impact the B2C experience. That's where the nuance is. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So where should the digital transformation, where should it impact? Should it be customers? Should it be users, organization? Or am I answering my own question by saying all of the above?
Yeah, it is all of the above. It's all about changing your business model. So, if you're in a traditional banking model where you're relying on the branch to be your delivery model, that has to go away. And it can't just be, well, we have the branch and then we have this website thing where we put a whole bunch of things in it and we're done. We're okay with managing the experience at the branch, but we would never, ever go and outsource it. But really, we're totally okay with outsourcing anything that's digital. But when you look at how often people actually interact with the digital space versus the physical space, the digital space is a lot more activity. And you're actually outsourcing all of that to somebody else. Somebody else owns that, whether it's your digital banking vendor, all your platforms. All the platforms don't talk to each other. They all look different. Yes, they all have your colors and your logo, and maybe even your font, but they're just not working together. That experience is not a good experience. So you need to transform the whole organization. And even if you're just looking at the branch, you need to transform the branch itself as well. People are not going to be happy by just walking into a branch and have to queue up and do what we've always done in that space. Just recently, I purchased a car with my local credit union, and again, the digital experience is really great. But I had to go down to the branch to pick up the funding check. It was half an hour to do that. I had to take my mask twice because they wanted to check my driver's license versus what versus my face, and they couldn't see that with my mask on. That's terrible experience. So you need to manage the experience throughout, and you need to apply appropriate digital technologies to the branch, to the contact center, to the digital channel, and everywhere. So digital is not just about the website and what happens on the website. It's everything and everywhere. You look at HR, for example, the business of being an HR executive has changed dramatically in the past 15 years. And a lot of
100%.
that has to do with technology.
Yeah.
You don't recruit the way you used to recruit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do benefit meetings the way you used to do it. I mean, never mind the pandemic, but a lot of that stuff is automated. A lot of the stuff is through video. A lot of that stuff is through digital technology.
Yep. Yep. So again, what you're talking about is organizational change. That makes me think that I need to go as high as I could possibly go. I need to talk to the visionary of the organization, and say, Mr. Diamond, how are we going to change Chase? And I'm sorry, I'm not picking on Chase. My apologies. But what is, from your perspective, digital transformation being such a large topic, what could be some low-hanging fruit? What digital transformation could an organization do to get some quick traction, to get some momentum, to get some excitement behind digital transformation?
Well, that's kind of a trick question, because what I say is that you need to start with trying to figure out where you want to go and where you want to be, and that's not always that easy to do. But if there is something to help you start to get there, partner with fintech firms that can give you a look into what a true digitally based organization looks like. So you can start thinking about how I can become like my partner and be a true partner, not just another vendor, right? Many people talk about having partnerships with fintech companies, but all they're doing is they're just, swapping FIS for a fintech company. We're really truly become a partner of a fintech company, understand how they operate, so you can understand how you can take that, what they're doing, and try to build that within your organization. So that's a good first step, to partner with a few fintech companies that can solve problems that you have that you cannot address yourself, and then you can start seeing how things can change. At the same time, you really do need to do the hard work and try to figure out, what am I? Am I all about customer service? And if I'm all truly about customer service, am I actually tooling the call center appropriately? Am I actually doing the right things for the branches? Do we actually have good experiences online? That can't just be, well, we do good customer service because we get good survey results. It's beyond that.
So really identifying how an organization would like to approach the topic of digital transformation. Could your firm or could an FI put together that digital transformation kind of strategically from piece to piece? Is it revenue focused? Is it boil the ocean? Or how do you help an organization, strategically plan and initiate that digital transformational change, if you will?
Yeah. Well, you can't do it all at once. That's impossible. And unless you have all kinds of resources, and nobody does, not even Chase does. So you need a plan. So you need to figure out what the plan is, and you need to execute it. And generally, what we do is we build a 5-year roadmap with our clients, and we help them execute that. So 5 years is it's a good chunk of time to be able to do all the things that you are set out to do. But, throughout the process, you're changing the roadmap. You're changing what you want to do because, opportunities happen or there are obstacles that come up that you hadn't thought about, or new technologies come out that can help you solve a problem in a different manner. But you really need to figure out what the plan is and start executing that. And, to me, we go into organizations that they just don't have a clue what they're about. They just haven't had to ask that question. That they say, okay, well, I'm not a community bank in Peoria, and I serve Peoria really well, and I have had customers here forever. I'm just a community bank in Peoria. Well, what do you bring that's different from somebody else? Well, gee, I'm a community bank in Peoria. Okay, that's not a strategy. So you need to figure out what it is that you want to be, where you want to go, and then start figuring out the map and the plan to get there.
Very good. And I appreciate that. I do. So, is there a right time for doing digital transformation, or is it, if are we looking at kind of evolution like the dinosaurs, either adapt or don't overcome?
Well, I worry about organizations that haven't started, particularly with the pandemic.
Mhm.
If the pandemic has not started a fire under them, I don't know what can do that. A few years ago, we worked with a client that wanted to look, what did they define the strategy? And part of the strategy that we built for them, actually the first thing in the strategy was to offer accounts online because they did not have the ability to do that. Go forward 2 years or 3 years later, and they still don't because they just did not go forward. They did not execute.
Mhm.
Recently, I talked to someone who was in a similar situation, and what they said was, we think that there's a pent-up demand, and when our customers want to come and open, or somebody wants to come and open an account, they'll come to a branch, and they're just waiting for us to have the ability to do that. Well, that's insane. People are not waiting just for your specific bank to be open to do that. If you're not able to do that on a digital space, people are going to find ways to do it somewhere else, and they're going to go to your competitor. So if you don't have those capabilities today and you don't feel that you need them today, I just don't see how you're going to survive in the next 5 years. I expect that there's going to be a huge amount of M&A in the banking and credit union space. We already have seen a lot of activity there. It's going to heat up, and it's heating up in the fintech space as well.
Yeah.
Organizations that are not moving as quickly as the market is moving are just not going to be able to leapfrog. I get the question of, can I leapfrog what Chase or Bank of America or someone else like that is doing? No, you can't. They're so far ahead of you. There's no way. You can match them or you can get close to them, but you're so far behind. There's no way you can catch up. And if you're losing your clients to the Bank of America or to a Chime, good luck if you haven't started.
Yep. And do you think that the nano bank, and so this is a huge topic, but do you think that the nano bank, is going to be the preface for the future, or do you think our traditional FIs have the ability to keep lockstep with those
Yeah.
neobanks?
Certainly the neobanks are starting to hurt the big banks. They're not hurting the little guys, at least not directly. The little guys are not seeing that. So that's why they're discounting that. The big banks have raised their game in digital in the past 5 years remarkably, and so they're going to compete well against the fintech, the neobanks. At the end of the day, many of them are going to be acquired by large organizations anyway, so I don't think that they're going to put the big banks out of business, but they're going to squeeze. But between them and the big banks, they're going to squeeze the small organizations out. And unless you're willing to do something like a Radius Bank, where they actually pivoted from being a community bank to be a fintech bank, you're going to have to figure out how to get there, and you're not going to get there by just working at the edges and updating, swapping your digital banking platform and doing nothing else. None of that is going to do it. It's got to be much more focused, much more defined, and it's got to transform your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then one more question, and then we'll let you go. And I greatly appreciated the time. The banks that I would argue, for the banks today, I would argue that they have a relationship, right? That's the preface of their deposits. That's the preface of their loans. That's the preface of the commercial bank, right? So how could an organization leverage the technology to benefit that relationship or did we just talk about all of that?
Yeah, well, we kind of did, but more specifically, I do get questions about, an organization says that we're all about our relationships with our customers. We can't build that in the digital space. Well, yes, you can. And also, by the way, you're doing a disservice to those people that are providing the service to your client by not giving them the appropriate tools. So, I know that you know the story that I've said elsewhere. I manage a call center that our agents had to sign up to 14 different systems to be able to service a customer. Which is a big challenge for an agent. You get a phone call about a mortgage and you're looking at the mortgage system, and then the next call is about a student loan and you have to go to that platform, and then you get a phone call about the deposit account and you go to a different platform. That is difficult to maneuver. And there's some agents that are just amazing. And they get away from the technology and provide really great service. But the majority of them are not that way. The majority of them really just struggle with trying to go from one system to another. And, there's all these kind of excuses that, oh, gee, my system's freezing. No, it's not. You're trying to log into another system. That's the excuse that you're giving. And so you have to look at digital technologies and how they can help you even with those experiences. I remember long ago when I worked at the Fleet Bank, I remember us building a platform for our salespeople, for our commercial lenders, where they could on the spot be able to price cash management products that we're not experts in to customers by using their laptop and an Excel spreadsheet and things like that. I mean, this is 15, 20 years ago. Actually, it's more than 20 years ago, and we were trying to tool them with technology to help them have those relationship discussions that they couldn't do without it because there were no experts in that part of the business.
Yeah.
So why can't you tool your customer service people at the branch and the contact center with digital technologies? And guess what? You can also build that relationship through technology by doing something like live chat that is augmented by technology. You give knowledge bases, you give all kinds of technology that can help the person servicing someone through the digital channel in the same fashion. So it's not just about getting rid of people. It's actually by augmenting people with technology to help the consumer.
Yep. And we're all consumers, right? It's not just my client anymore. Every single one of us are a consumer of technology these days.
Right. Yeah.
Fantastic. Exactly. Well, Alex, it has been an honor and a privilege to have you on our LinkedIn Live show. If you guys have any questions of Turnkey Lender, as always, please feel free to reach out. If you have any questions for Alex, please feel free to reach out. He would be happy to help take your organization through digital transformation. Alex, Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.